I finché un down, si divide un caffè in giro, solo che mi tocca tutto.
Good
Light
thing you
is
guys have
red.
each other.
Light is red. We're good. Well, hey, Stacy.
Hey, Jason.
So,
Nice shirt.
Thank you. Off camera, we were talking about. You look lovely too.
It's my hippie look. I
We're
just was,
we have resolved we don't like the name, whatever the heck this is.
No, we're trying to. We think we found one we liked.
I think
What was it called?
No, slightly filtered.
Slightly filtered.
With Stacy and Jason.
Yeah.
That work?
That works for me. Does
Let's
that work
ask
for you,
our new
Lisa?
let's ask our guest. We have a returning guest from the U.S. Forest Service. We have Lisa Cox. So Lisa, we're cutting to you. What do you think of that name?
That sounds great.
Slightly filtered.
Yeah.
Because we know there's some things we can't say on the air.
Yeah.
The FCC will come down on us. But slightly filtered is good. We looked up. Doesn't look like anybody has that yet. So we should probably .com it or trademark it or something before this airs.
Okay.
So, but Lisa, we're happy to have you back because the Forest Service always has stuff going on.
Yeah.
You were very harassed when you walked in the door because of things that with the LA Times was talking to you.
Yeah.
The
It's
news.
busy. It's a busy news cycle for us right now.
And what's the busiest part of it? Are we allowed to talk about why they call
Yeah,
it?
so there's been some horse carcasses that have, been spotted around Mono Lake. And so now that people are starting to visit the forest now, springtime is here, more people are getting out and about, and it's just more visible,
So-
there could be more, carcasses around, throughout their range and outside of their range, but we just haven't counted them yet or seen them yet. So
Is it because of the winter?
Yeah,
the
did
bad
they get
winter?
stuck in snow or something and froze? Or?
yeah, so our range manager is pretty sure this is due to the effects of winter. Now, there could be many other sub reasons and causes for, why a certain animal died. And this is the same for all wildlife right now. Anytime, you have a prolonged winter like that, you're going to have wildlife species that just don't make it. And those wild horses are wild. So, and their herd is too big. So, when you have a horse herd that large, and it's already in an area where they're not supposed to be because it's way outside their range, that environment already can't support them. So they were probably trying to forage for additional food to eat and couldn't find it, or because there was a lot of snow out there. It was covering up their food source. So.
Is this the same overpopulated horse population that is associated with Boundary Peak area?
Montgomery Pass is so a little south of that, but yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
it's called the Montgomery Pass herd. Yeah.
That's unfortunate, but this winter was pretty gnarly for a lot of living creatures. So let's go to general update. You want to talk about the campgrounds? Are they going to be opening?
Yes, we have some campgrounds that are already open in the southern region of the forest, like Lower and Upper Grays Meadow Campground in the Mount Whitney district. I know that all the BLM campgrounds have opened up, so that's good news. And then slowly but surely, we're working on opening up all the rest of them. We are having issues with like downed trees and avalanche effects and stuff like that. So slowly but surely, we're opening them as quickly as we can. And if you want to see if a campground is open or not, you can check our recreation tab on our website.
Okay, yeah, I know just around our neighborhood in Old Mammoth, there's a lot of tree damage. A lot of tree damage. So I can't even imagine what it's going to be like around Twin Lakes and Lake Mary and when you guys are going to be able to open that.
Yeah, we don't have a date on that yet, and I don't know.
Yeah. Did you see the pictures, Wildfire Lodge, up there?
Yeah,
They
the
did
roof
not.
collapsed.
The roof collapsed.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. That's been up there for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Really long time. Well, I know everybody's going to be anxious to find out, when those campgrounds, especially the
especially that
fishermen and everybody. And I know that USFS doesn't really have anything to do with Tioga Pass opening, but they are working.
Caltrans. They're working hard.
Yeah, they are.
They are working super hard on that. I just saw them. They're they've been posting some really awesome video updates on Instagram. So head on over there and see what they're dealing with.
Yeah,
it's
a
like
lot.
multiple layers of different densities of ice and snow, and it's dangerous work. It's going to be a while.
What is it, like 55 miles and they've got 11 done?
I think they have 10 to 12 miles to go to get to that east entrance.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah, that's
a lot.
That's the most dangerous part too, right? Getting up to.
Well, they said that the snow gets thicker as they go higher. So
Right.
I'm not sure about dangerous. I mean, maybe it is, but
Well, I'm just thinking because drop off there, but.
yeah. So that combined with elevation, the higher they go, the thicker that stuff's going to be. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think they have a anticipated opening date yet because
No,
it's
they
just
didn't.
too much.
I saw yesterday they said, what is it? Monitor pass is open. Sonora's almost done. And it said, no idea.
Yeah,
Basically is what they said for.
for Tioga.
That's the hard one. Yeah.
What are you gonna do? It's where we live. It's where we live. So let's talk about the firefighters. You mentioned that there's some training going on right now, and I know it's sort of in the back of everybody's mind. Fire season. We already had a big fire down here in Bishop not too long ago.
Just a couple weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, oh, here we go again.
But that was a bird.
There's birds.
Bird landed on
Yes.
the lines, caught fire, hit the ground.
Oh, I didn't
Kaboom.
hear about that.
Yep.
Yikes.
Yeah. Which at the same time they thought a helicopter was coming through, and so rumor got around it was a helicopter crash. That's what we heard through everything, and then find out it's a bird.
It was a bird. Hit the transformer,
Still something that flew.
sizzled and dropped. So where are the firefighters? Where are they training?
They're training all over the place. Last week they trained with Bishop Volunteer Fire Department on hazmat and SCBA fitting and training and all that.
What is SCBA fitting?
Uh,
Okay, next. I just was curious.
something breathing apparatus.
Okay.
So it's like something confined breathing apparatus. So it's so that they can deal with hazmat and put out vehicle fires and assist in structure fires if needed. But their primary, goal is vegetation, and, the volunteer fire department works more with structure and vehicles. But they're still getting trained in that, so it's good to know that they're getting trained that way. And then this week they're finishing up more training, and then they go through a review and kind of like a test at the end called the readiness review. So that's happening tomorrow. So yeah, we're getting geared up.
And are these people who volunteer for the season? Just for the fire season? Or?
Well, our firefighters are all paid. None of them are volunteer. And yes, seasonal, permanent seasonals, and permanents. Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty diverse types of careers all over the place in our fire service. Yeah.
Well, we hope that this fire season isn't really a fire season. I know we were talking before we went on air that it may be a while before it sort of kicks in because of all the snow still in the backcountry, but it would be nice to have a summer and a fall without smoke anywhere.
Would be heaven.
Yeah, I
Wouldn't that be nice?
mean, it could, just because we don't have fires here doesn't mean it could drift from elsewhere. So, just depends on who dries out first and where those fires will start. I do know that we're going to have increased vegetation, so all we need is to have, a super hot, dry few weekends, and we could be going into fire restrictions again. I haven't heard any talk yet about when we're going to go into fire restrictions yet for the forest, so I don't have any news in that department. But it's the amount of vegetation we have is definitely concerning to fire managers, for sure. Yeah.
All right. I think you said that we're going to do a little update on Red's Meadow because Red's Meadow.
Is that the road?
That's the road.
The road update?
The construction. So,
the construction.
Lakes Basin, I'm not going to get into because we're not there yet. We're still figuring out when we're going to open that. But for Red's Meadow, the construction project, with the snow, they can't plow the road because it would delay the actual project because they have to do embankment stabilization first. And if you plow, you cover that up. So, so
How do you do that
unfortunately,
then?
So unfortunately, we have to wait for the snow to naturally melt.
So the road may not be done this year then.
We don't know which is going to come first. So we don't know.
But that's a slope where it gets a lot of sun, right?
Well, yeah, the south face, that southwest facing slope. Yeah, so that side, it does. So who knows? Maybe it could melt quicker than we think.
So wait a minute. So why can't, okay, I'm a little confused as why can't they plow the snow off the road?
Because they'd push it down and they need to do embankment. They need to build up the embankment
yeah.
first. So how can you build up the embankment if it's got a bunch of snow?
Jason.
Yeah.
Come on.
I needed a visual.
And they do.
Visual.
And I saw
Let
that.
me draw it for you.
I'll draw something for you. Here. It's like, you want to draw it here?
Slightly filtered.
There. Here.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Uh-huh.
So it's looking like this window for them to do construction is shrinking, and they probably, hopefully start in August.
And how many miles of the road are they going to have to stabilize? Because that road
I
down
don't know
there
the answer to that. I'm
Okay.
not sure. I'm not sure if they need to stabilize the sides of the entire project or just parts of it. And I don't know what order of how they're doing the construction either.
Aren't they widening it too?
Yeah, they have to widen it a little bit. Yeah.
So that
So
means
pretty much everything has to be.
So are they going to dig into the mountain side
Yeah,
a little
they have
bit?
to.
They have to do that.
So
right?
they'll dig into the mountainside and push that down to the other side and create an embankment?
Potentially.
but
I haven't
some-
seen the design plan, so I'm not sure.
Time out here. Some of that road, if they push it over to the other side, it's going to fall 500 feet down because that road can be pretty gnarly down into Devil's Post Pile and Red's Meadows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty
what are
steep.
you thinking?
I'm thinking it's going to be awesome to watch.
It is
Yeah.
going to be a pretty amazing feat to watch these construction.
Who's the
crews.
engineer? Who's
I don't
doing all this?
know. We were hoping that the Federal Highways Administration would come up with a news release or something, but we haven't seen it yet. So
Okay, so wait, who's in charge of this?
the Federal Highways
Federal
Administration,
Highway,
they're the
okay.
ones who put it out for bid and got the contractor.
Is it because it's a national monument down there?
No, it's because the project is a federal highway.
Okay.
And so the grant that's funding it is a federal flap
I
grant.
did not know that was a federal highway. I thought it was
I didn't either.
county or
Well, it's our road
Okay.
that connects to a state highway.
which is 203. Wait, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
203 going up to. But then
Minaret
it ends
Vista.
at. Doesn't 203 end at Mammoth?
No, Minaret Vista, right?
Yeah, Minaret Vista.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so we own the road, right? But since we're federal and so
Okay.
I guess I'm not really entirely clear about the how and the why of why it's under federal highways, but that's who ended up securing the grant funding.
Okay. And when that construction is going on, people aren't going to be, it's going to be closed, right?
There's going to be partial closures and full closures. It's going to change depending on the schedule. They did have a potential schedule, but we're not coming out with that schedule yet because we know these things change all the time when it comes to construction.
Right.
So we don't want to put something out there to the public that changes, and get their hopes up and start making plans because it could change again. So.
But that means then, not even talking about the road project, that means Red's Meadows, campgrounds.
They'll be open.
Okay. But they can't
Yeah.
plow the road. So.
PCT hikers.
Yeah, but
PCT
how
hikers.
how much snow is on the road? Do we know?
I don't know the depth.
Okay.
And the PCT hikers are already here because a friend of mine
Yeah.
picked them up yesterday and she was dropping them off at the
How?
Mammoth. Yeah. She
They
picked them up
started,
somewhere.
yeah, they're at Kennedy. Yeah, they've already, yeah.
They're starting to come in and
Do
these
they just snowshoe it?
a bunch of these hikers were being taken to the Mammoth Mountain Inn, and then they were going to hike down. And I said to them, I said, "Are you guys crazy?" I said, "There is so much. It is dangerous right now."
Yeah.
Okay,
But
I
they
can't
don't. They
wrap
said
my head
they're.
around that.
They said they're equipped. I'm like, okay.
I've been watching.
You could be
videos.
equipped, but are you experienced? And
Right.
do you know how to use your equipment? I mean, that is one thing I did want to touch on today is hiking safety.
Let's do it.
You can have all the equipment you're supposed to buy and use, but have you practiced using it? Do you feel comfortable using it? What's your level of comfort using it? And are you humble enough to pull back when something doesn't feel right? You know?
Yeah, I've watched, I wanted to say Everest, but it's Mount Whitney.
It may as well be.
I've
They're all
watched
tall.
people in April, they actually hiked Whitney, and that's insane.
Yeah, I've seen the
With
people.
the toes and stuff.
Yeah,
and
they
really
just
skied
beeline it
down
up there. Yep.
Guys skied off of.
So they drive up to the port, well, however far you can get
They
to
get
the
as far as
portal.
they can.
And
You
then
can
they-
get up to our Forest Service gate now because the county cleared off that rock slide. So you can get up. Our gate is still closed. You can't get into the campgrounds or the day use area yet. But
Okay.
Go YouTube it and watch these people ski off of Mount Whitney last month. It's insane.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, but you could tell they knew how to use their gear,
Mm-hmm.
and they were in some, yeah.
yeah, not something I would do, but more power to you if you can do that. It's impressive.
So what
really.
kind of hiking tips do you have for people right now who, I mean, obviously we can't get up into a lot of the
Stay
places.
in the valley.
Well, the valley, has its own concerns, right? So we have a flood watch warning in effect this weekend. Make sure, so first things first, everybody needs to make sure they're following National Weather Service Reno and Las Vegas on social media because they're really good about posting conditions that are coming up like every day and before your weekend. So that's really important to keep up on that. Also researching your route. Your route might not be what you expect it to be. There could be down trees, rock falls, boulders in the way. You may get lost. So do you know how to navigate without cell phone service?
No.
I mean, a lot of people don't. A lot
I
of
can
people
watch the sun.
What if your battery dies on your phone? Then it doesn't matter if you're on satellite or not. Do you know how to read a map? Can you figure out a topo map on paper?
Can you? Do you know how to do topo map?
Yeah, I've learned
Okay.
in the past, but if you don't practice it a lot, you can't. I have
Well,
to do some reviewing myself.
When the lines are really close together, it's
It's
steep.
really
super
steep.
steep.
It's really steep.
Yes.
You're going to fall and break your back.
Yes, in
Yeah.
general, yes, good coverage.
So does that mean that the local search and rescue groups are kind of gearing up to be able to get out there? Because if people are
Well,
not experienced and they're going out there,
no, they're telling you not to go.
I know they're telling you, but
we're limited
Well,
resources.
it
Don't
doesn't.
do
They're
it.
not going to listen.
No, I know they're
People just don't listen.
not. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people don't listen, and we don't want to tell people not to come enjoy their public lands either. We definitely don't say that. Like, we want you to get out there and experience nature. It's wild out there, especially with all this weather. Yeah, you got to know your limits, and you got to be prepared for when things do go wrong, because chances are that more things are going to go wrong this year than they did last year or the year prior.
Yeah, you're going to meet Jesus and the coroner.
So yeah,
Not necessarily in that order.
when it comes to search and rescue, yeah, it is whenever you go out and you fail to plan, you're putting search and rescue people at risk, and also they may not come. So
Yeah,
please
I
don't
saw
depend
that.
on that, and they have a really great fact sheet on their website, and they have a great acronym called STOP, and it's stay together, turn around, have ownership, and then prepare and train. So I like that. It's very succinct. It's very we definitely align with that for sure.
Stop to mean just means don't do it.
Yeah, just don't go out there right now. I was
Enjoy it from YouTube.
there's some, I can't remember which road, it's somewhere in the eastern Sierra that just in the Sierra Nevada that the rock slides just keep happening.
my.
Okay.
There's no more snow, but the
Okay.
rock slides,
They're saturated,
Yeah,
probably.
the mud
Yeah.
and everything.
yeah, they keep closing.
That's
the
going to
road.
keep happening, and it's also going to happen in our campgrounds. So another thing I wanted to warn the public about is you may get to a campground and things may not even go as planned in a developed recreation site. It doesn't matter if you're in the wilderness or in a developed area. Something could break, something could fall. So just be aware of that, and just be patient with our maintenance staff and the concessionaires, because we're doing our best to keep that stuff up and keep it
Talking
open.
about your campgrounds, like one of my favorites is Big Trees up here, but it's like right on the creek. Are they afraid the creeks are going to overflow into the campground area?
So definitely water levels. That was a point that you were bringing up that I really wanted to touch on is the county is probably the best information source for flooding information. But in general, there are going to be high water flows, especially after warm weekends like this one coming up.
And since we're doing this, let's plug it right now. ready.inyo.com. Isn't it? Or
I think it's just Ready Inyo.
Ready.inyo.us, and I think it's ready.mono.us.
Yeah, and Mono has one too. Yeah, perfect.
So make sure, if you're going out.
Yeah, and you can, another thing you should do is, especially if you're a resident in the area, is sign up for the reverse 911 systems. So make sure you're on that. But definitely expect high water flows, swift water. Always remember that the current under the water surface is stronger than you think, and just be aware of that. Watch out where your dogs are. Keep them on a leash. Don't let them go frolic in the high flow creek beds. You may see your dog take off in the water. So we wouldn't want that to happen. So I'm not letting my dog go in any waterways this year. Like, she's getting picked up. I'm not letting her do that.
So we were talking about the trees earlier. On our property up in Mammoth, we have a lot of widowmakers sort of that have fallen to the ground, and a few of them that are actually still hanging on the tree. And I said to my husband, because the snow is still really high, I said, just get on the snowbank there and just pull it down, because if somebody's standing under there when the snow melts, I said, it's going to come down. And he couldn't even do it. He couldn't pull it down. But there's a lot of broken branches. That's when you're camping. You're usually under the trees, right? So, do you have like an indemnity thing that you have the camper sign that basically saying, hey, if we decide to camp under a bunch of trees and one of these huge branches falls on our tents and knocks somebody out, I
don't know. I wonder if that's in the
corner.
I wonder if that's in the fine print of recreation.gov when you make the reservation.
It should be, because there's a lot of broken trees right now.
Yeah, and I guess that's something that you always want to be aware of when you're camping in general, and especially this year, like you said, because of the saturation of all of the vegetation and trees.
Okay.
But we do have what happens for every campground before they're allowed to open is they get inspected. So when they do that, they do make evaluations on different trees, and if certain ones look dangerous than others, they do get marked to do something about it, or they don't let that campsite get rented reserved, or whatever. So that's done between our rec officers and the concessionaire managers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Companies have been able to maneuver within the system to get more premium, annual mileage, good driver, non-good driver. But there's certain things within the system they can deal with. But as far as saying, we need to increase our rates by 5%, the commissioner shot it all down. So 7 years without a rate increase, we're seeing. I had one this morning. Policy lapsed. The company told me will not reinstate, nor will we rewrite. So, and that's auto insurance. So auto insurance hasn't hit the news yet, but it is being impacted. The same thing applies. You can't let it lapse. You just can't.
So in the unlikely event I don't have enough money to pay my insurance note this month, can I call you and say I'll give you some? Is there any way to?
Companies aren't. Again, it isn't.
It's all or nothing.
It pretty much, companies are not doing favors right now. They're they're that hardcore as far as this is what we'll do. Anything outside those parameters, no.
So is there any kind of parachute that might help you a little bit?
No.
What's that thing you call FAIR?
The FAIR plan. You can, for home insurance, go back to home insurance. If you have a situation where you're not able to get insurance in the private market, there's a program that California has called the FAIR plan, which stands for Fair Access to Insurance Requirements. It is the basic policy. So when you have a mortgage, they have requirements, and the FAIR product it adheres to those requirements. But the FAIR product does not have the same coverages level or protection level as a regular home policy does. There are ways to get to that, but the FAIR product in and of itself doesn't have that. FAIR has had their rate increase because they've had a lot of pressure. They've actually increased rates. They have a different system. They don't have to go to the department for approval on certain, so they have a whole different way of how they deal with stuff. Their rates right now are extremely high. As long as the criteria is met, they do have to take you, but there's issues with the roof being too old. You know, if you haven't replaced your roof in like 30 years, they won't take you. There's a couple other things like that. They're real death on roofs right now, the FAIR program. But otherwise, yeah, they have to take you. The doesn't matter if there's no fire department within 30 miles. If it qualifies everywhere else, they have to take that. But you're going to pay dearly for that. We did a quote for a house, just places like Starlight, and the Starlight has no fire protection per se. Bishop responds, but that's too far away to really give them any kind of cut. We have a couple policies up there with current companies, but they will not write new business up there. The only option we have is the FAIR program, and the quote for, I can't remember the specifics, it was like a $700,000 house was almost $9,000. In the regular market, that would be like $4,000. So you kind of you're talking. It's an option of last resort. So you don't want to rely. Oh, I'll just get a FAIR. You're going to pay dearly for it. So don't let your insurance lapse. If you're looking to buy a house, pretty much anything in the Greater Bishop area is fine. It's not an issue. There are areas, anything outside the Greater Bishop area, that, and I'm not picking on these communities. So just be aware. Because it just depends on where the place is located. But Wilkerson can have some issues, Starlight can have issues, Aspendale can have issues, Shalfont can have issues, Hamill can have issues, the Mesa can have issues. Those are places. Before you step in it, make sure that you can get coverage somewhere. They're great places to live. There's a lot of beauty, great views, all that fun stuff. Make sure you can get coverage before you really progress or make an offer on the house.
So, Rock, to reiterate, the top three of the top 4 insurance companies will not be writing home insurance anymore.
New insurance, right.
If you have it, keep it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it lapse, whatever you do. And if you do lapse, you expect it to go up if you can get it.
Yeah,
that'll be a new policy.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you do have if it's just. I have people coming in shopping because their rates have gone up for home insurance because they have some increases for home insurance, and I'll tell them if you have it, keep it. You're treated differently when you go to a new company. They're going to look at certain things that your current company doesn't care about because they look at renewal business different than new business. All companies do this. So different rules apply. And so if you have something right now, no one is giving this stuff away. No one is jumping up and down saying, over here, we'll do it. I tell people, if you have it, pay it. And just keep what you got going on right now. Because it's going to get worse as far as market conditions go. There's no reason for it to next month to have these guys come back in. It just isn't going to happen.
Do you have any last thoughts, comments, remarks? Don't let your insurance
that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the thing is pretty much talk to your agent, talk to your brokers, as far as if there's any issues with your insurance, make sure your policy is current. One thing I've seen this happen a couple times as well, where people have their mortgage company pay. It will happen where that doesn't happen, that they don't pay it for days, this kind of whatever happens. And we're fighting with one right now with one of my clients trying to get this policy reinstated because the mortgagee didn't pay. The mortgagee had the money, the system just didn't pay the insurance. And the company is fighting us on it, and that's kind of what we're dealing with. So make sure read your mail. Stuff comes in, they still use U.S. mail. I know a lot of people don't even know where the mailbox is. Read your mail. You get something, hey, we haven't received your payment. Find out what's going on. That's going to be the key thing because it happens. I tell people all the time, mortgagee pays, that's fine, except when they don't. And then that's a real issue. So, if you get a late notice and your mortgagee's supposed to pay, find out why you got the late notice.
It happens a lot where
Yes.
you're paying one entity and they're not passing along the money they're supposed to.
Yeah, and it's a system. There's probably, I would say, 2 to 5% failure rate on mortgage pay. It's significant, wow. Yeah. But people just have to. I've had people, I got the bill and and it says it was late, but my mortgagee paid. No. You're still responsible for it, just that your mortgagee's paying it. But you're the one responsible. And so, you get a late notice, we haven't got your payment, or you get a cancel notice, you got 15 days to get money to us. Find out what's going on.
God. Rock, I appreciate your coming very much.
Okay.
It's always a pleasure. It's sometimes more of a pleasure than others.
This is
always
much
a pleasure
fun.
to have you here.
Yeah, not much fun.
Rock, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jimmy T.
This is Jimmy T with Rock Baker, independent insurance agent. If you have a policy on your house, do not let it lapse. Continue it. If If you lapse it, it'll become a new policy, and they're going to get their profit out of you on the front end if you can get the insurance at all.
Yeah.